You stick that in your pocket. Okay. Tell me when we got viewers.
Okay.
Where's your phone? Over there. Okay.
Looks like we got one viewer.
Yay! Alright, surprise everybody, we're doing a live stream today. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, we're gonna put this, and then...
2. 1.
Okay. Alright.
6.
So I told everybody that we were going to do a live stream next weekend, but we're going to do it this weekend as well as next weekend. And today we're getting the new engine ready for the Futura. So this is the engine we're going to put in the car. It's a 2002 Vortex 4200. Previously we had a 2008 Vortex 4200 in it. And the reason that we're doing this is because we're not really looking to get every little bit of horsepower that we can out of one of these engines. We only need enough horsepower to go an 8 in the quarter mile, and I think we can do it with a 2002 engines, which are much more plentiful. So, Dad's working on cleaning the engine at the moment, but we're gonna start taking the valve springs out and putting the new ones in and start putting the new cams in. We are going to run Schneider reground cams in it, of course. I guess first off, can people hear me?
One person said they can barely hear you.
Barely hearing you. Okay, great.
Is it the phone?
It may be. Let me see if I can. Okay, test. Okay, test. Yeah, you can hear me.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I don't want it playing off of here. Okay. All right. So I can hear me. So I'll just talk louder, and hopefully you guys can hear me better. So Dad just pulled the spark plugs out of this thing, and they're pretty rough.
John Rose says a little soft on sound.
Okay.
A little what?
A little soft on sound.
Okay.
You got a
So
speaker?
what? No. We need a microphone. No.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I don't know. So. Okay, we'll just have to talk louder. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so you want to start on the valve springs, Dad?
I was thinking let's get this thing cleaned up so we don't get any debris in there, and then we'll switch over to that, get some of the machining work done.
Okay.
Because we've got to, you may want to go through the whole effort that needs to happen for prepping this, from drilling, tapping that, clearancing this.
Okay. So the things that you need to do to this engine in order to prepare it for what we're going to do is, if you come over here. So first off, since we're converting to a rear sump pan, we need to plug the dipstick hole for the front sump. So we're going to use a 5-cylinder, cut up 5-cylinder pan, and because of that, the 5-cylinder dipstick location is over here, but it is in the oil pan itself. So what we have to do here is we actually have to notch this web in the engine block so that the dipstick can actually fit down in there. We need to change out our crank position sensor to a 3-wire Hall effect crank position sensor. What else?
Need to bust loose these fittings over here while everything's off, because this is where the oil feed's going to go.
So if we come over here again. So one of the limitations of this engine is it prioritizes the oiling to the VVT system, and it kind of basically sends all the oil to the front main and then up to the VVT system. I would rather have I'd rather have a engine that stays alive than a perfectly working VVT. So what guys recommend you do is you take the oil from one of these ports here and you redirect it to one of the mains in the back of the engine. So luckily they add all these plugs. These go directly into the main oil galleries. So basically we're going to take oil from this port and redirect it back to this port, and that will reprioritize the oil so that it's not going all to the VVT, and keeps the rod bearings and the connecting bearing, the rod bearings and the main bearings from having issues. So that's something else that we have to do. We already have all that stuff fabbed up from the previous engine. I guess I'll go over what are the differences between this engine and the engine we had in it before. So this is a 2002 engine. They have a plastic valve cover. The 2002 to 2005 engines all had a plastic valve cover, and GM got away from that. I'm not exactly sure why, but my guess would be is they were having issues with premature failure of the valve cover, just as over time as that thing heats up and cools down, it will warp or, not hold its shape, and you're going to have oil leaks for stupid reasons. So they went to an aluminum valve cover. Some other differences, since this is an O2 engine, it is a first year. They have a bunch of stuff on the thing that are sort of more conservative, in my opinion. They set the engine up so that obviously they found some issues in testing or something, because it has a lot of extra provisions that they then, my guess is that cost reduced those out of the product. So one example of that is the Harmonic Damper here. It is unique to 2002, and I think some 2003s got it as well. It is a dual mass harmonic damper, so there is a mass here with its own elastomer. There you go. Okay. So it has a mass here, right here, from here to here, that has its own elastomer, and then it has another mass here on the back. So it's a dual mass. Obviously, it's tuned for two different frequencies. And what's funny is, if you have read the BHJ crankshaft study, which BHJ is the company that makes aftermarket dampers for these engines, they actually talk about how a dual mass harmonic damper would be ideal for one of these engines because you could target two different particularly bad critical frequencies. So we've done no testing with this particular damper other than we ran one on the Fiat, but we haven't actually tested to see does it do better than all of the other harmonic dampers. But my guess is this may be a secret performance piece, but I haven't been brave enough to actually test this thing under high output and at higher RPM, but it may be a secret piece there. Also with the 2002 engines, the bolts that hold the flex plate onto the crankshaft have a different thread. Another thing is the oil pan has extra baffles in it, so it keeps the oil from sloshing around in there. And there's probably a few other differences that I'm not aware of, different types of seals and that sort of thing, but there's a lot of stuff here that my guess is it got cost reduced out. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I know how that stuff goes. Your initial offering may be a little more conservative, and then as time goes on, you say, I don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Oh, we could use a cheaper one of them. You know, we don't need something with as tight of a tolerance. We can run this cheaper sensor. We can save a whole bunch of money. You know, if you figure, you know, if they sell 1 million of these, if they save, you know, $1 on every single one, that's $1 million. So that's just how, you know, cost-cutting engineering goes. And so what also something I want to show you guys today is you'll notice that this timing chain is not being held in any kind of position, and you know, there's no we've lost the position on this timing chain, and most people would be like, oh, that's the end of the world. I got to pull the engine out and take the front cover off and address that. Well, I'm going to show you guys today that you don't need to do that. The timing chain tensioner, which looks like this little guy, it can be reset without taking the front cover off of the engine, and you can retime the whole thing without having to take the front of the engine apart, and you can do it in the chassis, and I'm going to show you how to do that today, just because I don't feel like taking this apart and putting silicone and everything back in there and having to deal with that mess. So I'm going to show you how this works, how you reset it, and so we're going to start on that. So, all right. Okay, apparently there are some people from Poland and Spring Grove and Canada. So hello everybody from all those places. Thanks for tuning in. So, okay.
Get to work. Stop being a showboat.
I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna start filling cylinders with air, and
You want to do a quick inspection of your bore scope?
yeah, I guess we can. Dad said the spark plugs look particularly rough, so he is suggesting that I use the bore scope, which I may have to run and get. Yeah, I'm gonna have to run and get that real quick. So,
This thing's junkyard fresh. So
yeah. Well,
if
yeah.
anybody wants to do these things, you're going to see it from basically from graveyard to hot rod and down the track. Lord willing, everything's in good shape. So one of the things that we got to prepare first is get these gasket surfaces cleaned up. Look for any bad parts on the thing. You can see there's mud jammed in here, and you know, we've got a bunch of cleanup to do before we start putting this together. And one of the things I always try and do is get all these gasket surfaces cleaned up. We're going to have to extract a broken exhaust manifold bolt, and get all these things broke free so we're not trying to fight them loose when they're inside the car. So, any questions? Is there any questions? Hello to Michigan and hello to Florida. These poor people are having a look at my sorry butt instead of the pretty boy that's normally in front of the camera.
And hello to Sweden.
Hello to Sweden, cool. We got Sweden on the phone too.
Yay!
Michigan, Florida.
Michigan, Florida, Canada, Poland.
Any questions?
There's a bunch of PA guys, not yet.
Feel free to ask your questions in the comments as well. We'll be happy to answer anything you guys want to know. Alright.
We have about 27 viewers.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Okay. So, yeah. I guess we should talk about one of the things we try to do, or one of the things you should look for in a junkyard engine is usually if it still runs and it's all dirty like this one, that means it has a decent amount of miles, and hopefully it's loosened up the rings enough that you've essentially ring gapped it. So
Is my sanding messing up the sound?
it probably is, but here, look at this. That looks pretty good to me. That's the cylinder wall. Here, come here.
Where's the top of the piston?
You gotta rotate it.
Okay.
Here's the piston.
Go all the way around the edge so we can see all the ringland the whole way.
Here's that side. Here's that side.
Yeah, it's good for 800 horsepower.
You can change it 90. Take a look at the side.
Keep going around.
Yep. High mileage equals ring gap. That's what we say. Yeah.
That's a theory being proven daily.
Yeah.
Yep, next one.
That looks decent.
Yep.
Okay. So that's number one. Number two. That looks good.
Yep. Okay, let's see the wall.
Still got the cross hatching.
Yeah, we'll blow the carbon off of that thing. Yeah, there's a scuff.
Yeah, it's got a little scuffing, but
Both sides.
yeah.
Good enough.
All right, number two. Any questions?
Let's say
Hey,
to
New Hampshire,
and Detroit.
Detroit.
Cool. That one's probably all the way
Yeah,
up.
it's too far up.
I can't turn it.
Yeah, skip that one because it's in the same spot.
Okay, we got complete piston.
Number four.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
Or number five.
So read it.
Okay.
Do you have
Say.
any tips for reliability issues?
Making them reliable at 500 plus wheel horsepower. At 500 horsepower, they're pretty solid. We've run completely stock engines.
Good clean oil. Number one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just
Sorry.
gonna say, as far as stock, component wise, they are pretty reliable.
Where's the piston?
Yeah,
Or
we
did you
looked
look at it?
This is number 5 still.
Yeah. Okay, because
we-
on your end, junk gas.
Yeah, we recommend
Okay.
running good oil. We run Valvoline VR1 synthetic 2050
No.
oil.
Non-synthetic.
Oh, non-synthetic. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, when we run Nova 1, we run the synthetic.
Okay, so we run VR1 2050. That's been treating us really well. It has really good alcohol compatibility. So if you are running E85, which I highly recommend you do, yeah. Okay.
Just gotta do number 3. Something's going on here.
Oh.
The change.
Go ahead and spin it. Which you're gonna hit valves if you're not careful.
I'm done.
So yeah, as far as the components go, you're good.
You're over there. Go
That
over
looks
there.
fine. That looks fine. I would highly recommend you getting a running engine. Don't buy something unless you know it's running, or try not to. Obviously, if it's cheap, you may be willing to take the risk, but we don't take them apart. We leave the stock head bolts in them. We leave the stock head bolts. We don't take the head off. We don't ring gap them at that power level.
Pull the fan off with it vertical.
Yeah, pull the pan off with the engine vertical so that if there's junk in there, it goes down and out. You don't flip the engine over first. Don't do that. Keep it in its correct orientation, and drop the oil pan. That way if there's junk in there, it goes with the oil pan and doesn't go up into your engine. But yeah, they're pretty reliable engines. We found at that power level, and you know, you don't really need to start upgrading stuff. I mean, we've taken them to 824 wheel horsepower, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but I wouldn't really recommend running them at that power level all the time. So, yeah. Okay, Headflow Inc. says Y2050, the bearing clearance needs to be conducive to the oil viscosity. Okay, with a turbo engine, we have found that, okay, let's just talk about oil. So 20W50, what does that mean? Well, those are viscosities at different temperatures. So if you are planning to get your oil hot by running a turbocharger, it will get to the ideal viscosity when you're actually running at higher performance, or so we hope. So we run 20W50 because, you know, we're running the oil temperature a lot hotter than the factory does, and I mean, you guys saw the bearings in the last teardown. They look fantastic. So obviously it's working. So
It's high zinc. It's so it's going to be very good, great lubrication. The ethanol compatibility is very good, and it works good with turbo engines.
okay, Daniel Kuther asks, are you going to put a new head gasket on it and ring gap it? No, we are not. We are going to leave it together the way that it is, and we are going to put in valve springs by filling the cylinders with air, and it's not coming apart. So we've run them like that. We only really need to get around just over 600 wheel horsepower with this, and we've done that in the past multiple times on completely stock, unopened engines, and had lots of success. So that's what we're going to do there.
Even if you do open up the ring gap, you're only opening it up to 5/1000ths to 6/1000ths per piston bore inch, and when you do the multiplication and tear the engines apart, these things, after they've been running, have mileage on them, already fall within that window. So to open it up and open it up, you can only open it up to what it's already opened up to.
So yeah, on the last engine that we tore down, we measured the ring gap, and they were all at 19 to 20 thousandths ring gap, which with this bore size and what we're doing with it, that's a little tight, but we run E85, and it's not caused. I mean, the pistons were beautiful on the last one.
So right in the window of what you open it up to.
Yep. Brian E asks, what kind of torque do these things make at 500 horsepower? It's going to be right around 500 torque. With a stock bottom end engine, you're trying to make as little torque as you can and as much horsepower as you can, and that's why you try to rev them as high as what is safe. Yeah, that's sort of a tricky question, because your goal is to make as little torque as you can.
At lower, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, doing a manual swap is possible. Redneck Swede says the problem is finding a good manual gearbox and bell housing with it. You can buy the adapter plate from M-Tech Motorsports, and you can adapt it to any old school small block Chevy, manual transmission setup. But you need a custom flywheel, which I think he also sells. So it's totally doable. Yeah, it's just, you got to get the right parts. So, all right, all the bores looked decent, good enough. So, obviously this thing's been run quite a bit, which is a good thing for what we're doing. So I'm going to put my bore scope away, and then we're going to start changing out valve springs.
Do you want to take a minute. Well, I'll do it. I'll prep. I'm gonna need to make noise in a few minutes to prep this thing and get this broken bolt out.
Oh, we say hi to Gilbert, Arizona.
Yeah. Hello. Okay. So, to fill the cylinders with air, I'm going to use handy dandy leak down tester. And it'll also give us an opportunity to see what the leak down is. So, I'm actually going to take this intake cam out first, because then the valves will be all the way up, and we don't have to worry about any pistons hitting valves, because if you think about it, when you fill the cylinder with air, it is putting a force on top of the piston, and it has the potential, if the rod's down like this, it could push it down to the bottom, and you could have stuff rotating. You don't want your valves to hit your pistons. That's bad news, but since we've already lost our timing chain, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to get that torn apart, so I'm going to sneak past you and...
It just went up to 36.
Thanks for tuning in to our unscheduled live stream, guys. Like I said, we're going to try and do one next weekend at 10 a.m. And in that live stream, we plan to install this engine into the Futura and hopefully get it running. So,
The person asked me a question about the manual training. Do you want to talk about the future project?
we can. So, the guy that asked about the manual transmission, we actually plan to do a manual transmission fairly soon. So we're gonna do much more detailed video on that whole process. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. We're gonna do it in a '54 Ford F100. Okay, 100, and I think we showed that to you in the last live stream. So yeah, get hyped for that.
Don M. asks, how many engineers are in the family and their specialties?
The whole family?
No, I think just the immediate.
Yeah, well, in the immediate family, 3.
And their specialties are 2 mechanical and 1 electrical engineer.
Alright, which one's which? Which one's which, Mama?
Which one's what?
Who's
There.
the mechanical, who's the electrical? Tell the people.
Cameron
how
and
are you telling
Andrew
Calvin?
are mechanical, and Calvin is the electrical engineer. Okay. Any plans to run a BMW DTC? Asked by Kermit Stanford.
DCT, yeah. I'd love to.
Not immediately.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Nothing's off the table. We'll
Yeah.
take all sponsorships.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to play with them. They're really neat transmissions. But, at this point, there is no plans to do that. So I recommend you break these bolts loose with a regular old ratchet. Don't use your impact, because these are really easy to round the heads off, and I've done it before, and it's not fun.
Okay, everybody watch carriers. I need a few seconds.
Which one? Okay, I know.
Everybody watch your ears
Okay,
and eyes.
Okay.
alright, watch out.
Wanna go check out Calvin?
All right, we'll give you a sneak peek. Oh, okay. All
I'll be
right.
back.
Well, I was expecting him to make noise for a little longer, but this is a sneak peek for the manual transmission project. Plan is to put a 4200 in here with a 4200, obviously, and we'll put a little turbo on it. And so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. It's going to be a fun project, and we're going to. I'm not sure what transmission we're going to go with. It'll probably be a T10, and we have all the parts to do it, so it should be a fun project. Yep. Okay. Hello from Largo, Maryland. Hello. Thanks for watching. Hope to meet next time. Okay. Yeah, we'll be up there a bunch this year, hopefully. Here's something that's going to be good to show. So, come over here, Cameron. All right. So this engine, along with a lot of junkyard engines, what you're going to find is when you try to remove the exhaust bolts, they like to snap off like this guy. So my dad's going to remove that, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to take a nut and put it around here, and you're going to weld the bolt to the nut, and then you should be able to pull it right out. But sometimes it's not that easy, but we're going to find out if it is today. Schneider cam. Okay, Brian E asks, Schneider cams move the power band higher. Yeah. Yes, they do.
That's the whole reason.
Yeah, that's the whole point. What's the safe horsepower? Kevin Brock asks, what's the safe horsepower limit for front sump oil pan? It's not really a horsepower thing. I mean, obviously the oil capacity is not ideal. We try to run higher oil capacities on anything that you plan to run wide open for a while, just because the oil tends to get trapped up in the head on these engines. So if you run out of oil in the sump, you're going to have a bad day. But it's not really about horsepower, it's about how much the engine accelerates, how much the vehicle accelerates, because, you know, if you're just doing burnouts on the street, you know, if the car is not accelerating, so the oil can't run away from the pickup, and so, you know, it's not really a horsepower thing. It's how quick do you want to accelerate? I really wouldn't recommend running a front sump, say, probably like a 1.660 foot.
At the most.
Yeah, I mean 1.660 foot is where I think it would get really, really sketchy. So I would not try to accelerate that much.
I don't know about what happened on the LS and all that trouble. Cause
yeah, we actually had a lot of trouble with that on our LS stuff. The LS, if you know stock LS oil pans, almost all oil pans that the LS came with, the pickup is located usually in the front of the oil sump, and that's not ideal because, you know, if it's in the front, the oil is going to run away from it when you accelerate hard. And a lot of people say around 1.660 foot, you start to have issues. So what we do is we take the oil pickup and we move it further back in the sump so that when the vehicle accelerates, the oil is going to, or the pickup is going to stay submerged and you don't have any issues. And we've done that on quite a few, you know, LS1 pans and that sort of thing, and it's fixed the problem. So yeah, front sump's even worse because it has a lot more places to be able to go. So yeah, that's why we say 1.8 is what we said.
1.6.
1.6. Yeah, I mean 1.6 is probably even too sketchy.
That's
honestly.
pretty sketchy.
Yeah, that's all right. That's right. Okay. Luther asks, what is the best fuel control system to buy and put in there? I like the Max ECUs. That's the best system that I have used. So, yeah, they're just, if you want to know more about that, you can go watch the last week's video. I gave my thoughts on that. So, I'm a really big fan of their stuff, and hopefully we can, I've actually contacted their U.S. rep, and we're going to start working with them a little more directly. So, look forward to that. So, you'll notice the bolt's coming right out.
Oops, the wrench slips as soon as he focuses on it.
Kevin Brock is swapping a 4200 into an FRS,
What's
and
that?
he plans to use, it's a Subaru, or a BR, no, that's Subaru BRZ. You know those rear-wheel drive Japanese Subaru things? It's a Scion FRS.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah. I bet that's gonna stick out a little bit. Those cars are very short in the front. Are you going to use a trans adapter? We'll use a trans adapter. We've actually recently bought a couple of the MTech transmission adapters, so we'll just use them because we have them. Yeah, Nissan V8 for the win. Do it. He said he's got, we got him looking at his mom's Trailblazer funny.
Cool.
Do it. Do it. They're fun.
They're fun, they said.
Oh, okay, recommendations. Okay, David Norquist asks for recommendations on manual transmissions and issues that we foresee. There's actually a really good write-up on the Vortec 4200 wiki, which you can find on Google. Eric Heinze wrote up a really good manual transmission section for the wiki, and he talks about a whole bunch of issues and things that he has encountered because he's done a few manual transmission swaps, or at least researched them. So I don't think it's going to be too bad. It should just, once you have the adapter plate, it should just bolt right up. But yeah. So Epic Builds Garage recently wrecked his Envoy and wants to pull the perfectly good 4200 and stick it in his 240SX. Do it!
Do it. 4200 the world! Atlas the world!
4200 swap the world. Okay. Hey, Bryson's tuning in. How's it going, Bryson? Okay, Nissan V8 for the win. You say, do you think the 4200 bell housing will work with the FabBot AR5 LS kit? So the nice thing about an AR5 is it already has like the engine that you stole that AR5 from already has the right adapter or right bell housing. So you can literally use the stock bell housing that most people throw away and just fold it up to the Atlas. That's kind of where those come from. So yeah, there's no need for adapter. You don't need to adapt to adapt to adapt. You can just fold it up.
Alright, this thing's stained a little bit, but it's gonna seal.
Bryson's firing up the router. I've been loving the photos, Bryson. In fact, if you guys see Loud and Proud in the comments, he's a buddy from work, and he's got a really cool project. You guys should go check out his YouTube channel. He's got I forget what year it is. It's like a 96 or so Chevy truck that was his grandfather's, and he is converting it to a short bed and doing all of his own custom suspension and putting, one guy asked about the BMW DCT. Well, he's doing a BMW DCT in his truck. He's actually the one that got me onto the Max ECU thing. He actually was the one that found it and shared them with me. And once I started doing research on them, I'm like, these are the way. And so he's a real good friend. And you guys should go check out his channel. He just broke 1,000 subscribers recently. And, well, it wasn't super recent, but, go subscribe to his channel.
You want to talk about subscribing to channels, or do you want me to about the No Prep Nationals? No Name Nationals. Good.
What about it?
Well, there's an upcoming event. Hold on. It's called the No Name Nationals, and it's in Sykesville, Missouri. You have to have 500 subscribers to your channel to be able to qualify to participate. And Calvin and I are signed up for that event. We're going to be going to that later this year. Pretty excited about that. We haven't disclosed which vehicles we're going to take.
I mentioned we're probably going to take the Nova, but in the last video. But
Thanks, Dave.
yeah, I didn't spill the beans on the other one.
Okay. Yeah, we got some opportunity to make a big splash out there, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We've been communicating with the organizer and some of the other participants, and really excited about going to that event.
Okay, we're a little behind. 42 viewers, 4.2, 42. Okay, all right. Okay. Christian Sampson has been watching us for a while now. So glad y'all make these videos. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Calvin's a slave driver.
Yeah.
Don't you you. You're a slave
No,
driver.
Mom's the slave driver.
No, you're the knucklehead.
Okay. Wolf says an inline 6 4200 in a two-door Colorado would be cool. Yeah, it's been done quite a few times. It's actually a fairly easy swap. There's a guy that sells motor mount kits on the Facebook page to do the swap. So, something that is interesting. So another difference between the early engines and the later engines is the later engines have a little bit bigger intake cam. This is the intake cam. It's very easy to pick that out. They have different part numbers, but the exhaust cams are the same throughout all the years. This is the bad one. You don't want this one. You want the 06 and later. They have a little bit more lift, a little bit more
What's
duration.
that got, like 1,000ths lift and 2 degrees of duration?
I think it's a little more than that, but yeah, you can also get a more aggressive grind for the later cams because they have a little bit more material. So the part number that you want is right there, 0133. That's what you want. So
Tell me about your kits that you sell.
yeah, I sell shim and lash adjuster kits to install the Schneider cams in these engines. So go to packracing.com and you can find more details on that. Here. Okay, Michael Blacktree, didn't some of the Atlas powered Chevy Colorados come with AR5. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, some of the Atlas powered Colorados came with AR5, so there's no need for adapters.
Your hands are bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I got oil on your phone. Okay. So now I got the cam out finally. So now I can start using my tool to take the valve springs. You cannot remove the valve springs, unfortunately, with the cams in place, which is slightly annoying, but, you know, is what it is.
GM didn't anticipate everything.
Yeah. Okay. Where were you? Okay. The grumpy old millennial. What's up with your 4-cylinder project? We're keeping that under wraps at the moment. We have some pretty big plans with that, but we want to make sure we flesh them out a little bit before we reveal them to you. I will spill the beans on one thing. We just got a set of cam cores for a 4-cylinder from a guy who just gave up on his project. So that will give you an idea of the aggressiveness of that whole setup. Mr. John 613 builds, thumbs up, thank you. Redneck Swede currently working on a Volvo 240 swap with a 4200 out of spite against the purist. Big thumbs up to that.
Huge thumbs up.
Loud and proud. You gonna do any land speed again soon? Yes. Yes.
When Calvin lets me. Slave driver.
So okay, now if you guys, yeah, let them show off a little bit.
Actually, on the land speed front, we're probably going to wait until next year with the drag and dry events becoming more frequent and more locations. We're going to focus on Midwest coming up in June, and then we are really revved up about the idea of doing the sick week in next year down in Florida. So with that being said, we want to focus, be prepared for that. We're going to push back the land speed effort, but look for that to come July next year. We're going to try and have something over 200 miles an hour and take you along for the ride through the channel.
Okay. Nissan V8 for the win. These things sound so good. I think I've watched every Atlas video on YouTube. I did the same before we did our own swaps. I agree. They sound awesome. Grumpy old millennial, GM 4-cylinder project. Yes, it's a GM 4-cylinder
Wait a
project.
minute. How can you be an old millennial?
I don't
Good gravy. Anybody under 55 is a kid.
Well, Michael Blacktree, I remember when this channel was 1,000 subs. Nice to see this channel grow. You guys deserve it. Thank you. It's been a fun road so far, and I hope it continues to grow. It's been a fun journey. Okay, so now I have my leak down tester. Okay, you're looking up there. All right. Got my leak down tester. I just plugged it into cylinder number 1, so I'm going to fill it full of air, and that will hold the valves up so that the
Good old leaky exhaust valve.
yeah, that's the way the other ones were. So I think it's just this guy.
Oh, the valve that's open.
Yeah, it's the valve that. So it doesn't have adequate force on the seats. I think that's the problem. Okay. Cash to be made. What do you think about the M54 BMW 3-liter motors? Good for rebuild and boosting. Yeah,
We want to try one of those out. We started talking with a guy out of the Chambersburg area weren't able to get together to really look at it. We actually looked at the N52 also. There's attractions to both engines, and ultimately the next thing we want to invest energy into is going to be a dual VVT engine, both intake and exhaust. The ruggedness of the earlier engine, the 52, the N52, is something that attracts us. The 54, we like the valve train and the cam control. So we're not committed to either one. We've got a lot of research to do before we go any further with it. Okay.
We're at about 40 viewers.
Wow.
Everybody.
Looks good. That's deep enough. All right, that's taken care of. As soon as you get that. No, I'm pretty behind, Mom. Hang on. I gotta get this out. Yeah. Well, if you could read them off. That would help.
Did you do cash to the,
Yeah.
okay, did you do Kevin?
I don't think so.
It'd be good to find out if that O2 balancer is good for higher RPM.
We plan to work on that at a later date. Right now, we're so focused on the events that are coming up, and we know that with the tech inspection that we gotta get through, we have to have an SFI balancer. So, once we get away from these bigger events where they're gonna be more focused on being tech legal, we do plan to run one of these all out and see what how the engine holds up, because we're convinced that they're a good component, and it's a shame to take something off that may be perfectly adequate for everything we do.
Okay, Michael Blacktree. Oh, he's responding to somebody else.
Oh,
All donations go directly into the race program.
Yeah, I've been sharing my tunes quite a bit recently, and once I'm in a better spot on the max ECU, where I'm more happy with the tune, I can, I'm still actively figuring stuff out. So I don't want to post something and have somebody have an issue with it for something stupid. But yeah, once I get a more stable calibration that I'm very confident in, I'm more than willing to share it. So, yes. Okay, what's next? Alright, cash. Yep. Steve Turner just said it's Miller time.
Oh, is it? It's lunch?
Alright, so if you guys don't have one of these tools for doing the valve springs on these engines, you need to buy one because they're awesome. They're really handy. I gotta go grab a wrench real quick.
Back up there.
Okay. Alright, show this thing off. Where's my ratchet? wrenches.
Goodbye. Broken exhaust manifold bolt.
Okay.
I'm from Chambersburg.
Yeah.
Where are you guys? We are 2 east from Chambersburg.
Okay. Gotta be careful of that.
I can't hear you. Still can't.
Okay. Gotta be careful when you're pushing this down. Okay, so basically how this tool works is you bolt it to your coils, where the coils normally bolt to, and push down the valve spring, super easy, and then install your keepers, which this is always a fun process. So I use a magnet on a screwdriver. This is a trick that Dad taught me. And then I push it down onto the valve spring right there. It's kind of tedious. I need to compress it more. No, I don't. Alright, so we gotta push this guy down onto
Slow down.
and then sometimes the screwdriver likes to stay magnetic. Then you just have to do this 24 more times. Yep. Okay, I gotta get that further out of my way. It's always a pain doing the first couple because you're not into the swing of things. But once you start doing a bunch of them, you start getting a little bit of practice, and then just like that. And then you're done. There's 23 more to go. Sometimes the valve doesn't like to separate from the retainer, so
You got a tool for this?
this is good. What?
You got a tool for this?
It's just a Allen wrench. I think it's an M5. Alright, so take your keepers out. And then you take your old valve spring out. Get your new valve spring. lightly used valve spring. It's only seen 824 horsepower. It's no biggie. And then
Close.
alright, any new comments? Or are we so far behind this?
We're behind, but, yeah.
Alright, let me see. Yeah, I mean, we're like a whole, like, probably 15 comments behind.
We're due east from Chambersburg in York, PA.
Yep. Yeah.
Keep up good work. This one.
That's still listed on the wiki.
What's that?
Is that tool listed on the wiki?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's J44228-1. That's the part number for the valve spring compressing tool. Yep. That's the problem. Sometimes the keeper or the keepers don't want to separate from the retainer, so you just gotta give them a little love. Where's the brass punch?
I don't know, it's been listening for a while. It might be inside the
Is there any complaints with the gold box controlling it?
No, it works great.
From our Morrison, is about to drop a 4200 into a Zephyr.
Okay. Very cool. That's a great choice.
Great choice on the gold box.
All right. Oh, you just gotta give it a little tap, tap, tap. Okay. What else?
We do not have a Lincoln Zephyr.
No, we don't. We have a Fairmont Futura and a Fairmont station wagon.
Oh!
And it comes right loose now.
John Frostlight says, this is almost as good as an earwax extraction video.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little less gross, I hope. Okay.
Maybe I'm seeing it. Let me see.
Okay. Let me see. Still better than doing valve adjustments on a Kawasaki Concourse 14. I'll have to take your word for it. Never done that. Okay.
That one's a Zephyr, maybe it's a fine.
No, Zephyr.
It
Zephyr.
is Zephyr?
Yeah, it's called Zephyr.
I know there's a Zephyr.
Let's see. On the 2900, Milton Vanner says, what do you anticipate horsepower on the 2900? I mean, we're hoping to make a lot of horsepower with it. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah,
2/3 of what we've made on the 4200.
Mark Tilley asked if I can post the dates for the events we plan on attending. Yeah, I can do that. Viewers. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
You have a socket that you use, or?
Yeah. Use
6mm.
yeah. Over in the
Just leave them alone.
may have impact it, that may loosen it up. Yep, you're still asleep. So this is a pretty tedious process and kind of a pain in the butt, but once you get into the swing of it, it's not so bad. It's just yeah. Yeah, Michael Blacktree says, I remember replacing the valve seals on a friend's Camaro using compressed air method. The blow-by was so bad, the compressor ran constantly. Yeah, we have the compressor over in the other building because we didn't want to constantly annoy you guys with it. So, you're welcome.
That's out. I need to make that hole right there.
And yeah, Victor Mendoza asks, is that an Atlas engine? Yes, it is. Okay, that's cylinder number 1. And we give it a little. Okay. Yeah, now we can see a leak down. Which, these engines have always had like really bad leak down. Like anytime we've run them, like the one that made 824 horsepower, it was like 70% leak down. You can see this one's only 21%, so it's not quite as bad. But yeah, it's for whatever reason they've always had lots of leak down. So I don't know. They keep making horsepower, so whatever. Tools out. They're now missing. Just got put away.
What's that?
I had a bunch of tools out. They're gone now. So
Most likely in the. Alright, that's cleaned up. I'm gonna clean up the other side. I'm gonna make this clearance pocket so the dirt goes down before we flip this over.
yeah, normally, another thing that I forgot to mention earlier on things to do prepping these engines to be installed. So normally you have a bell housing adapter on these engines to convert to a transmission that's worth a crap. But we did the adapter plate a little differently on this particular car. So normally there's a couple of clearance pockets that you have to machine into places back here. I forget exactly where they are. But you basically have to make room for the bolts for the standard small block Chevy bolts to be able to protrude through the adapter plate so that they get good thread engagement. So yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier, but on this particular car, since we are running the 4L60E bell housing and no adapter plate at least on the bell housing, that isn't required. Any questions? No? Okay. All right, cylinder number 2. Whack and a whack. Okay. Stephen Turner says, I've learned so much about these motors, all thanks to you sharing in-depth info. Thanks to the whole Nelson family. You're welcome. Happy to share. This is okay. Alright. Cylinder number 2. Okay. Got that. So how many out there have 4,200 swaps planned? What are you putting them into? Okay. Briar Harvey asks, are you using the 60E bell housing as an ultra bell style adapter that the transmission will? Yes, that's how we're doing it. It's basically it's like a J&W, I think, is who makes them, ultra bell style setup where it adapts to the pump face of the Turbo 400. Of course, as soon as people watch, there we go. Rotate it up out of my way, and then grab the next guy. And it's in my sink, getting leak checked.
Christian Sampson says I have an 04 Pulley. Notes in Banner. Thinking of putting a 2900 in an 80 Sunbird.
Okay. Yeah, we looked at before we did the most recent setup on the Sunbird with the S480 and the 5.3. We were actually looking at putting the 2900 into that. So doing a 5-cylinder probably will be a little tight, but big props to that. That's going to be a cool swap. Yeah, I got performance anxiety. As soon as you guys look, all of a sudden I start screwing up. Yeah, it helps if you pull the valve spring out, huh?
John Frostbite said. He'd like to supercharge my 5.3 LE3, but I have children. Oh. But children are worth it. I got 2 of them.
One. Okay. Got it. How many years do we got?
30.
20.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're just getting the engine ready for the Futura. So we're in the process of fixing that. Since we last time you guys saw that, it was making 825 or 824 horsepower on the dyno. And now we're getting the replacement ready.
Okay, here, you want to go, please?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to take
Okay.
that.
Mhm.
You want to grab two?
Yep. Chad Gummo is watching from Central PA. He has 2 Trailblazers. Cool. Thanks for watching. You want to try one?
And keep on going here. It's identical to a small block Chevy, except smaller.
Yeah.
I'm just here because I'm pretty. I'm the item. Check that one.
Milton Banner says thanks for the live stream. You're very welcome. Daniel Kuzer says 1949 Chevy long box pickup for window. I presume you mean you're putting the 4200 into a 49 Chevy. That's pretty cool. Alright, you want to get up close, camera? See if I can do this without screwing up this time. Hopefully your screwdriver loses magnetism and you just push the keeper up out of your way so that you can get ready for the next one. And then put your next one in, take your magnet away, and there you go. Alright, that's cylinder number 2. And leak down. Looks like 12%. It's not too bad. R. Morrison asks, do you think that Dash 4 would be sufficient for the oil feed mod? No. We run Dash 6. I'm actually running Dash 8 on my station wagon, so I definitely would recommend something bigger than that. In case anybody's wondering, the plan is still to live stream next Sunday, as I mentioned in today's video, so look out for that.
Where's my phone go? Where's that one you're looking
Yeah,
at?
that's the one I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. Doesn't
Where'd my tube go?
Your what?
The tube for the... What? There it is. Okay.
This floor. That's why, okay. There we go. Like these blocks are made slightly different.
Really?
Yeah.
Another 2002 only thing?
I don't know, I have to look at another one. That's interesting. Heavier metal.
What's that?
It's thicker back here on the early block.
Where?
Back here, this is thicker. It pulls it out. I'm gonna go look at the early, or later engine.
Down there? I think so, yeah. Michael Black Tree says, hey folks, don't forget the like button. It needs some love. I appreciate that, Michael. Matt Malfair says, why work on your own projects today when you can sit and watch others? That's funny. Good seeing you in the comments, Matt. It was a fun year at the challenge this year. Yep. Catch you later, Michael. Good luck. What's everybody's projects in the comments? What are you guys working on? I assume if you're watching this channel, you're into car customization. What are you guys working on? Elliot Curry says, is this a new engine? Where did you source it from? If you don't mind sharing, how much was it? What trans and rear are you using? So this is not a new engine. This is a used engine from it's out of a 2002 Trailblazer. We got it on from Facebook Marketplace. I can't remember exactly which one this is, but it came out of a running vehicle.
This came out of a junkyard in Philly.
Oh, came out of a junkyard in Philly. There you go. And how much did we pay for this one?
175, 150.
Yeah.
175 or 150. I'll have to look at it. I got a receipt.
Yeah. My dad said it was between $175 and $150, somewhere around there. I think it had 150,000 miles or so on it.
175, I think.
Okay, maybe 175. And the transmission and rear setup on the car that this will be going into is a Turbo 400 and a Ford 88. Dane says stuff. He's working on a 96 S10 Blazer. I asked everybody to share what projects they're working on. So, 5.3 5-speed swap, and he's got an 03 Trailblazer as a daily driver. Very cool. Elliot Curry.
Because it throws the debris up.
Okay, Elliot Curry finished and sold a RB25 DET S14, working on a house to fund more projects. Very cool. I've always liked the Nissan motors, but the oil pumps scare me a little bit on them. Obviously, they're that's the big Achilles heel. But okay, this one must be difficult. Okay, R. Morrison, he has an 86 LS swapped Capri, 81 Zephyr, currently 6.0, but soon a 4200. Very cool. Yeah, we've done that to 2 of my cars so far, taken the LS out and put a 4200 in. Ah, Dane says stuff. He knows the guy we got the engine from. Yep, Arnold. Arnold's a good guy.
I need to fire this up.
All right, Dad's got to make some noise here. Let's just step
I'll be
outside.
done in 30 seconds.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay.
Try to go in the other garage.
Efforts, yeah, we can do that. This is gonna fire up then.
Huh?
Air compressor is gonna fire up and make noise.
Oh.
So, okay, let's just stand here. Okay. Gerald Zimmerman, want to express my appreciation for your efforts on this channel. You show that it's effort and creativity that makes the grade, not just money. Yep, appreciate it. Kevin Brock, I just finished a twin supercharger on my FRS, and now I'm planning out an LS swap. That's pretty cool. What's the twin supercharger on? I installed Bill's Nissan V8 for the win. Says I installed Bilstein's 5300s on the Trailblazer. The struts were toast. You done? Okay. It's windy out here. Keep going. Okay.
Seconds.
Elliot Curry says, would love to do 4200 next. I'm all about value and straight 6 engines. Yes, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Not even.
Twin AMRS or AMR 500s going through a FMIC, good for about 350 wheel. Okay. Is that the, okay. I'm not familiar with that supercharger. That's, is that like a centrifugal supercharger or?
Are you looking at doing a supercharger on one of these engines?
No, I just asked everybody what they got working on, and the one guy said he has a twin supercharger.
The reason I asked is somebody had asked about a supercharger on one of these.
Yeah, I know.
And that would be kind of scary with the rods in them.
Oh.
Superchargers bring in the power so fast, so low in the RPM. That's one of the advantages of turbo is that power doesn't come in until higher
The other
RPM.
part is this crankshaft snout is so tiny. It would, you know, you'd have trouble keeping it from snapping. Matt Malker says, what is your opinion on maximum reasonable power, 4200 within challenge budget, assuming new cams? Okay. You're not
Well,
gonna.
it depends upon who's in the other lane. If there's a knucklehead with a BMW with an LS in it, probably 1,000.
Yeah, it's doing Schneider reground cams for a challenge budget just is going to be extremely difficult. I mean, just to do the swap it's, as far as budget, the stuff that goes into the budget, it's really trying to work on this with it.
Yep.
Yeah, doing a set of Schneider cams for the challenge budget just isn't going to happen, so you're going to be stuck with stock cams. And stock cams, I'd say,
We've gone 540 with stock cams.
well, we've gone 605 with stock cams.
With the layer tag, but yeah.
Yeah, he's talking all out.
Gotcha.
So I would think probably, I don't know, 650 would probably be about as much as I would push it to with the stock cams. And that's wheel horsepower. Okay. Sparkamoto says two 4200s cut and welded at 60 degrees to make a 8400 V12. I'm gonna try doing it. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you guys are familiar with Boyd Coddington, he was actually looking to do one of those, exactly what you're talking about.
Straight.
Except he was gonna do a straight 12, and basically connect two end to end. Nelson, Tom Nelson from Nelson Racing Engines actually was going to help him do that before he passed away.
Before Coddington.
Yeah, before Coddington passed away. I think that would have been pretty wild. I can only imagine the red line on that would not be very high, just because the crankshaft would turn into a banana. In case you guys are curious, these are literally just the valve springs that we were running on the 800 horsepower operator. They're the same valve springs as we had in that. I'm just literally taking them out of that and putting them into this.
Back up to 40 viewers.
Yeah, the straight 12, I think he was going to put it into some sort of street rod he was building. I think it was like a Duesenberg or something like that. Something with a really long nose. But yeah, I agree. I don't know what you would put it into. And that would be like a streamliner or something that, you know, is 30 feet long. Almost done with cylinder number 3. So what would you guys like to see in future videos? Do you have any video ideas? Can you use, okay, Milton Banner asks, can you use LS conical springs in these engines? No, you cannot. They're very different dimensions. And they don't even look anything close to an LS spring. The LS spring is way too tall. So. Yeah, these springs that we're putting in are actually designed for a 2JZ. Yeah. This one's got 11% leak down, so looks like the front one was the worst so far. This one was 21, that one was 12, this one's 11. So it's actually better numbers than I've seen in the past. Okay. I asked them to give video ideas, so maybe some of them, maybe that. So.
Okay, Atlas to small block HT starter adapter, Atlas to LS coil swap talk through with mounting piece dimensions. Matt, those were both from Dane, or that was from Dane. What's the approximate total cost, one of these setup springs cams at your shoe kit?
What?
Should I read it?
So to do the cams, they're $400 to get them reground. The lifter and shim kit, I sell them for $200. The valve springs are $100. And I don't think anything else would go into the budget. So yeah, you're looking at $700.
You included the string cost?
Mhm.
Is that 10 millimeter?
I think you have to move the tool first.
Where's the tool to pulley?
Oh wait, no, you can slip it around. That's
These have O-rings on the bottom, so you need to pull it up as you're.
Did we get disconnected?
Probably just isn't. Dane says the Atlas to small block Chevy HT starter adapter, Atlas to LS coil swap, walkthrough with mounting piece of dimensions. Okay. We did a video on the LS to or Atlas to small block Chevy. We already did a video on that. I already did a video on my Atlas to LS. Oh, Atlas to LS. Yeah, well, I almost need to make a plate that does it a little more elegantly, but I did do a video on that. It was quite a while ago, and yeah, so, but yeah, we did do a video on that. Okay.
What do you take it up to?
I don't know, 70 plus ish.
One brings out lunch and eats it all. This one?
I normally give the retainer and just tap it so that it loosens it up when the. You just do the light tap. It's, it shouldn't take much more than that.
That one's stuck. Alright. How much effect do you put into the autocross effort? You do any autocross testing? We don't do any autocross testing, but we've placed as high as second place. We've had a couple of top 5 finishes in the autocross, but we were really focused on having a car that would compete for the overall win, and we in fact did in 2015 and 2016. The 2015 car, the Black Bug, had been set up to autocross well, and in 2011 it had finished second overall, second place in the autocross. In 2015, I forget where we finished. I think we were 7th or was that 5th in the autocross? I forget. I apologize, but it was the top contender in the autocross. But typically, it takes so much to set up the car for both disciplines. We dedicated that car to being able to do both.
We've done autocross testing in the past, haven't we?
Well, we went down to Ripken once to run the Fiat,
Yeah.
and we
Showing
did a
us.
little bit of spirited driving on the street, but that's not what I would call.
Yeah. Well, Sean was a little scared of it, wasn't he?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it just, it was raining, it was
Oh.
very poor conditions.
Okay.
And, Corey drove it once, and Sean drove it once, if I remember. Corey Friedstein, good friend. You getting rid of those, or what's see your containers now? Another question?
Mike from Monkey Fab just said,
Oh my, sorry. I didn't know it.
macro straight up.
Yep. Yeah, knows. My bad. Should have been trying to answer the question.
Shadings down.
Yep.
Hey, when you get that.
First one. No, well, let's get the magnet in here first. Magnet.
Okay. And he says, Mike from Monkey Fab says, okay, I'll go into the garage and start working. You all are making me feel lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to take advantage of every time for every moment we got to try and get stuff done, so
That's
it's 3/8 quarts.
3/8 quarts.
Yep. Alright. That had a little oopsie with the tool. We accidentally cross-threaded one of the bolts, so it's going to get a. Actually, we need to run a tap through this thing too because it got boogered. So intermission. Okay, I'll check my DMs. Thanks. All right, there you go.
It's a little nippy out there.
For those of you who may not know, we're working with Monkey Fab at the moment. He's a good friend and one of our favorite sponsors. So big thanks to him. He has some really awesome products on his website. He has some really nice fittings and that sort of thing. And if you're into like making your own turbo kits, he's got a lot of DIY stuff for that. Lots of like prefabricated turbo merges and that sort of thing. So yeah, this needs half to.
Sorry about that. I thought it was still engaged.
Yeah. So go check out
Where's the
Monkey
magnet?
Fab Garage. He's got a lot of informative videos on his
Where's the
YouTube.
magnet?
You have that. He's got a lot of informative videos on his YouTube channel too, so go check that out. And, he has some really good bang for your buck fab supplies, so go check him out. Alright, I gotta go get a tap for this stuff ruined too, so
Wounds are damaged.
it's damaged.
Note to self. Don't try and look at the camera when answering a question and doing something. Any other questions, Paul? Check your DM, alright? Tell Tom to check his DM,
What's the
direct message.
He's ready for spring and summer to come along. So we can all go racing. I'm sure
Who isn't ready?
John Rose is ready.
Okay, where's the tool? Should have cleaned up pretty quick. Calvin, Monkey Fab, Mike,
Yeah.
check your DM.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
On the phone that's being used to. No, we don't have no vehicle. I can't check my DM at the moment, Mike. You, the only means of checking it is currently streaming to the internet, so I'll have to check it later.
Oh, pretty.
You gotta push it You gotta take it down further.
Okay. I didn't want to go too far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta expose the three.
Yep, I'm seeing it.
Yep, a little more. Give yourself a little room. Right there. Yep.
Back in the day, getting grease and there was so many tricks you would try and do, trying to get keepers to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, they tend to hold their position once you get them on there. I guess that is surface tension of the oil just keeps it from.
You know, it's probably got some magnetism left on it. Somebody just made a comment.
No.
Okay. Ah, that was dumb. I'm acting like a rookie
Yeah,
here.
if you put it on and then you drag the
I know.
screwdriver up.
Let's got to take the magnet off.
Well, if you can sometimes keep it on. And here, let me show you. Well, I can show you my little trick. Just let me show you. Watch. Watch. Let me show you. So you put it on, and then you just drag the screwdriver up like that, and then it's a little easier. Okay. So, let's talk about timing chain tensioner. So this is the factory timing chain tensioner. And you'll notice that it is spring loaded, but it also has a passage here for the oil pressure to go into. And that pressurizes this piston and basically causes this to create tension on the timing chain. Now, you'll notice it has like a ratcheting mechanism. It has a ratcheting mechanism, but you can reset the ratcheting mechanism by pulling on this lever, and then you can reset the mechanism and push the thing back in and reset it. So, if you did what we did on this guy, and we let it extend the whole way out, what you have to do is you have to make yourself a little hook out of some welding wire. You need to reach down in here and pull on this guy, and then you can push this guy back in and reset the tensioner. So I'm going to start working on that. And yeah, so it's pretty simple.
Text and
But
just let them know that I saw you tried to call, but the phone's being used for the live stream.
So, tensioner is way down in front here, and you have to feed this guy down in here. I'm going to get some light. Okay. So, you're not going to be able to see it, but the tensioner is down in here. And you may be able to look
in the bottom to help us guide it into place. But essentially we need to feed this hook down in there and grab that little lever, which I can actually see. So, I get the light in just the right spot. Yep, I can see it. Okay. Okay, I think I got it. So now I need to reach down in here. And I can push on this guide. And I just reset it. So now I'm going to let it go just to show you. You can hear it clicking. Just like that. It's extended out, so you just need to fish this hook down in here, which I'm going to do it again. And this time I'm actually going to go grab my tool that will lock the thing in the depressed position so that we can reassemble this engine.
What did you want? I don't know yet.
Here's another tool that you guys may find useful. It's just a wedge on a stick, essentially. You could probably easily make one of these, but essentially what it does is it wedges between a bolt. There's a bolt boss down in there, and it wedges between that and the timing chain guide, and basically keeps the tensioner from being able to push out, and it makes it so it locks that in a good position where you can reassemble everything. So I'm going to get this set in there. We got to take this upper timing chain guide off of here. This is also another unique thing about the early engines. They have actually a guide here in between the two upper cam sprockets, but they removed that for the later engines. My guess is either it just wasn't necessary or cost cutting, who knows. But yeah, it's a lot of people think they got to take the front cover off of the engine to fix the timing chain, but if you just use a little hook like that, you can fix it without taking anything apart.
You can do this without removing the oil pan as well. I've done that before. You know, in the chassis, it's kind of a pain to work on these, just because, you know, in order to take that front cover off, you have to take the oil pan off, because the oil pan has to come off, because you got to take the pickup tube off, because the oil pump is cast into the front cover. So in order to get the front cover off, you have to get the pickup taken off, so that you can, hang on a second. There we go. Okay. You have to take the pickup off so that you can remove the front cover. Okay, I need to get in here so I can see. Okay, so we gotta feed this hook down. There's a couple more. And I gotta get my head in the right spot so I can see it. Gotta get the light in the right spot and my head in the right spot so that I can see it. And then you just basically this is hard because I can't see. Okay.
Mark Long, he says, I would like to see a toolbox store.
Oh my gosh, they're disaster zones.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta get where you are, Cameron. I can't see what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be really hard to show, but trust me, you can do it. There it is. Now I can see it. Okay, you're blocking the light. There you go. I gotta find where my hook is. There it is. There we go. Okay, so I need to get the hook over here, and I think I got it. Yep, that's it. Okay. And I got my wedge in there. Let me double check. No, I don't think I got it. Hang on. It's a little bit tedious. Little bit. Mm-hmm.
Any comments, Paul?
I'm not sure where you're at.
4200 Vortec I-690s, okay. I'd like to see a toolbox story. Yeah, we could do that maybe, but, didn't anything put the inspector plug front of the tensioner. Amen to that.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
We could do that modification to feature engines.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea. That's a real good idea. We could make a little window there.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're going to be building a bottom end soon,
Mm-hmm.
or wasn't I supposed to say that?
No, that's fine. All right. See, I did it once, and it didn't matter, and now I can't do it again. Oh, my. It's all about getting the light and my face in the right spot so that I can see it.
It's like a carnival game.
Yeah. Let me try lighting it from the bottom.
That's what we had to do last time, I thought.
No, I
Does
used
that
the
put the
bore
light-
scope last time.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. That's what it was.
That doesn't help.
I can see it. Just can't get my head and the light in the right spot.
I hold the light.
No. There it is. Got it?
No. Just get the stuff out of my way.
Boy, this would really suck doing it over the cover of the car.
Done it.
I know that. That's why I said it.
I think I got it. Now,
These things are a lot easier after the 12th one. Alright, so it's the fourth one.
Chris Martinez says, "This a movie with popcorn and thumbs up and eyes and see it all."
We would love some popcorn.
come on, buddy.
Okay, David Frisco says, "I came in late. What's Dad doing? Valve seal replacement?
Valve springs.
Valve spring replacement."
I did it so easily. Now I can't get it.
See, I said, well, like I say, it's a carnival theme.
Uh-huh.
Carnival.
Where'd you do it? Right on the valve stem. Checking this thing.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Scare ya?
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
So close. So close.
Okay. 10%.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
So close.
2 more to go.
Yes.
Come on. I did it so easily that first time, and now
It wasn't easy the first time.
it literally my first try, and I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Use those superheroes. Powers.
Yeah.
Here,
Come on.
over right here.
No.
Kill and cut.
Any more comments?
Nope, no more comments. I can
We're
do that.
boring the crowd. How many people are on?
26.
Yes.
Got it. I got it.
You got it?
I got it. Okay, I got it hooked. I got one on the line. It's a big one. How can I get it pushed in? Because I definitely got the
You need a
tensioner.
screwdriver? A bigger screwdriver?
I mean, I need. Okay, pull it out. Okay, pull it. Well, there it goes. Yep, I just lost it. I had it and then I lost it.
The chain was jammed.
Big one got away.
Mm-hmm. The biggest fish you've ever seen got away. This is why you don't let the timing chain go, but
We had to get a cam out of this thing fast.
yeah. Where's my hook? There's the hook. Okay. This. Playing games with my depth perception.
Okay. Milton Banner says, do you re-gap rings for turbo use?
Only if the engine comes apart, not on stock, not on engines like this that just go right from the junkyard to the race car. Here, come to this side. Hold it up.
I got it.
Thank you. Next question.
Alrighty. Yep, he's changing valve springs.
Okay, we got it.
Got it?
There, we got it. All right, that's it. Let's reset. Only took 40 tries.
Yeah, next week when this shows up on the video, it'll only be 2-minute process. Ow.
Okay,
I know better than that.
now we should be able to get our sprockets in place. Yeah. So, I'm gonna go grab.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna grab my new tool because I want to try.
Okay.
Calvin does a better job of this than I do. He's got lots of practice. But we're game. Any questions?
Yes. David Briscoe says, may I assume you're confident that the cam chain doesn't stretch much and the guides don't wear much to consider replacement versus head bolt removal hassle?
Well, you can replace those things without pulling the head. You would have to pull the cover. But the short answer is yes, we haven't had any issues or concerns at this time.
Hey,
Every engine that we've run, we've reused the timing chain, and the guides on the engines that we've disassembled have all looked good.
then George says, did you make that tool? Which tool?
Which tool?
The hook? Yeah, it's just a piece of welding wire. Piece of welding wire with a little thing in the end so that I can redirect this. And then it just has a little hook on the bottom.
He's
So-
got a hoopty on his doodad.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very simple tool, but yes, I made it. I'll sell them to you for $1,000 a piece.
Calvin.
You're being ridiculous now.
Try to make a joke.
Yeah,
It says solid.
Yeah. So I literally just bought this new tool. So it's supposed to make holding your timing chain sprocket a lot easier. Bolts to your 2 bolts up here, and we'll have to get this all timed obviously, but we'll show you how to do that next. So it's literally just getting this laid in there, and then I'll go grab my exhaust sprocket and we can turn this.
Don't forget to show him that piece that's being developed.
Oh,
You guys are gonna like this. Well, I'm making an assumption there. Kelton's been working with a bunch of different manufacturers on little pieces and things for these engines, and I told him that he needs to show off the one piece that's being developed right now. Any questions?
Nope. David Grisco says, excellent. Thanks. You're welcome.
Pulling out.
that sounds like John.
Can't see, the light's blocked. Cameron. There we go. Let's do this real quick. Any more questions, honey?
Oh.
We don't want to bore the crowd
I don't think
with
so.
keeper installations. Oh, I had it.
Pull it quicker. There you go. Nope, no more questions.
You don't say why. Thank you. Obviously a time-consuming prospect here. But these cams have proven themselves to give us another, 1,000 to 1,500 RPMs, and that is a ton of power on these things, because instead of running in the low, mid 5,000s, we're able to run clear up to 73, 7,400. The smaller engine, or I say smaller, the earlier engines, we've only run those up to 73, I think. But, RPM makes all the difference when it comes to making horsepower.
Crispy K says, on average, how much do you guys pay per engine?
We've paid anywhere from $100 to $300. We've been very fortunate to come across a lot. We've called a few out of the Altoona area. Got the cameras up there, and I'm looking at the text messages. So that's a range. Obviously, we would go more if we needed to, but because of the sheer volume of engines that have shown up, I think we've bought 14 of them so far. It's been, $100 to $300.
David Briscoe has another question. Have you considered using assembly loops to hold the keepers in place during assembly?
No need.
No need?
Yeah, no need. They hold themselves into place, and
It's just enough oil on these things that they stay on.
this should hold my sprockets up. Essentially, this keeps sprockets in orientation while you have the cams out. But something that my dad wanted to show you was we're working on an adjustable intake sprocket. So this will go in place of the intake. This is just a 3D printed prototype, but we're working with a guy who's we're developing a adjustable intake sprocket, and we're going to start playing with the intake cam timing on a more precise basis. So look forward to that.
You saw it here first. That sounds so much better on TV.
Yeah. Okay, so this can come out now. And this should hold the cams in position. And hopefully we don't have to reset the pincher again, but now we can do, so what we're gonna
Do
do
you want
next.
to restart the cam while we're here? Or are we going
I don't-
straight up on this one?
I'd rather go straight up.
Okay.
I really don't think that helped. I mean, the intake manifold probably isn't up for it, so. Okay, so once we have the valve springs done,
Hey, I'm working on it.
okay, did you do these?
Hold on.
You did not do these, right?
No.
Okay, good. Because, you're grabbing the new ones out of the,
Yes.
okay, good.
They're shiny.
Yep, I just
They're gruddy.
wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we're putting the right ones in.
Yeah, all the ones on the table, I'm slowly putting them in.
Q-Nickel27 wants to know, what goals do you have this year for the 4200 platform to allow Calvin's 57 to eventually run the times he wants to achieve?
Well, that's a multi-part question, or a multi-part answer to that question. The goals for the 57 Calvin will have to define, but to get to that goal, we're going to go for a far more loftier goal, and prove everything out. But Calvin's engine's gonna have rods in it, when it gets put together. But we're gonna do a little bit more, a higher effort this year with stock rods, but Calvin's engine's gonna have, aftermarket rods, so ask Calvin.
Yeah. My goals with the 57 are obviously to go, I'd like it to go a 7 someday. I'm not going to try and do that the first pass, obviously. It may take a couple years of trial and error and that sort of thing, but, you know, just like Cletus McFarland finally got into the 6s with his El Camino, you know, it may take us a year or two before we see a 7, but eventually I'd like it to go a 7 with a 4200. So this year's goals are to continue to prove out the reliability of the 4200. So we're going to be starting to put the block to the test, starting to put the crank to the test. I think we've pretty comfortably found where the connecting rods are most likely to break. You know, some of you may disagree in the comments, whatever, you know, feel free to do it on your own engine. I think 800 horsepower is pushing, you know, an engine pretty hard, and I'd prefer to have a good steel connecting rod in there, you know, at that horsepower level. So we're going to continue to push things further and further, and we have another project planned for another stock bottom end build, and we want to go pretty fast with that. I'm not going to reveal what it is or what we're doing quite yet, but it should be coming up in the next month or two, hopefully. So look forward to that. You know, you gotta prove it out in something that isn't consequential. It's, you know, if the 57 were to, you know, have a crankshaft fall out the bottom of the engine, and
You're moving the latest. You're really messing me up. Yes, dear.
yeah, having the crankshaft come out the bottom of the 57 would make me pretty upset, whereas if we do it with the other car that we're thinking of, it's, you know, not going to be as heartbreaking. So,
Part of the ride.
yeah, so we're going to prove it out in something that, you know, we're okay if it, you know, doesn't make it back. So that's the plans for the year, and also we have plans to go to Midwest Drags, and we want to go to the No Name Nationals. We might go to Yellow Bullet as well.
You need a screwdriver.
And so the goals with the engine that this is going into, which is the Fairmont Futura, that we want to go 8s in the quarter mile with that, with a stock bottom end 4200. It's if you're not guys aren't familiar with that car, it's a 1983 Ford Fairmont Futura. It has a turbo 400, a Ford 8.8, 273 gears. 308 gears, and we're hoping that with the little over 600 wheel horsepower that we think this thing is capable of, it will go an 8 in the quarter mile. The goals with my Fairmont station wagon are also to take it to Midwest Drags, and the goal is to go a 9 every single day, and then on the last day I'd like to try and go an 8 if we make it there. Yeah, I mean, the goals for this year are really just to keep proving the reliability on these engines. You know, Making 800 horsepower once, yeah, that's cool, but being able to do it and drive the car between racetracks, you know, totaling 1,000 miles of travel, I think that's way cooler. So, yeah.
What's that?
Jord 9308 asks, is there a rear sump oil pan option for the 4200? MTech Motorsports was making a rear sump oil pan. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but recently he has he's no longer able to make it for a price that he can make money on it. So yeah, just the prices on everything, you know, with the thing that's going around, you know, the prices on everything has just gone insane, and he's no longer able to get it casted for a reasonable price. So that's no longer a option. There is a guy on the Facebook page. His name is Eric Heinze. He's a guy that helped out with the manual transmission stuff as well. He will do a modified 5-cylinder pan for you. I used to be the guy for that, but after I did one of them, I was like, this is way too much work. I just, you know, I don't like the idea of filling my lungs with aluminum, yeah, not for me. So I recommend people go to Eric. He's a real good welder, real good fabricator. So the one thing I don't like that he does is he doesn't extend the sump forward. I'm sure he's concerned about having leaks, you know, because when you extend the sump, you know, you're having to put welds where the sump is, and you could potentially have a oil leak there, because welding on cast aluminum is a humongous pain. But he keeps the sump the factory 5-cylinder size, and I really recommend people up the oil capacity on these, because the oil likes to get trapped up in the head. So if you're going to do drag racing and that kind of stuff, you really need to increase oil capacity. David Grisco says he's got to go. Thanks for tuning in. John W. Jr., he says, need to look at Atlas sights, but is there a reason to steer away from the 35-3700 in favor of the 28-2900? Thinking about a Colorado short bed 2-wheel drive street strip truck. Thanks for your work. Yeah, honestly, the 4s and the 5s, they're probably just as capable. I don't have a whole lot of experience with them. Go for it. But I know there's guys boosting the 4s and 5s to pretty decent horsepower, so all I can say is go for it. The Wraith just got here. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, one of my favorite commenters on the YouTube is the Wraith, and he's always got something good to say, and so thanks for tuning in. Did you guys get in? The Wraith asks, did you guys get into the built bottom up end stuff? Not yet. This is another stock bottom end deal. Where the goals for this car are to go 1/8 in the quarter mile, and we think we can do it with this 2002 Vortec 4200 with a stock bottom end. We're gonna put Snyder cams in it, but yeah. Matt Melfair says, triggering 2 injectors with a single driver. Thoughts? I've done it before with a Holly HP on my friend's truck, and it seemed to work fine. What did he kept having issues. He was doing a methanol setup,
and he kept having issues with the injectors getting stuck, and he just got sick of it. And surprisingly well, like the low end, you may have difficulty getting a good clean idle, where it's, you may have trouble getting it to be lean enough to be, you may have to run it super fat at idle just because you can't get enough pulse width out of the injector. Every injector has a minimum pulse width that you can pulse the thing at. So if you're firing two of them at once, and assuming they're rather large, say like 210s, that's your concern there. But it worked surprisingly well on his setup. We were able to get the idle to be nice and lean and right where I wanted it to be. So yeah, it depends what injector and what you're trying to do. So, Matt. Yep, Matt. I think he's trying to do a 2-injector setup for the challenge, just a bunch of decaps on his 2J. Yep.
He knows he's going to need 1,000 horsepower to keep up with us, right? No comment.
I'll give him a second. All
Okay,
right,
that
well,
moved.
That's fine. Yeah, that's why this is here. All right, we're on to the last cylinder, guys. So
No, we're not making a career out of it.
that's for sure. All right, the Wraith asks, "Hey Calvin, I was thinking." Okay, the Wraith said, "Hey Calvin, I was thinking for your bump button, you could maybe switch to a Mustang or Granada / LTD steering wheel. They have a lot of buttons that you can use for the bump button. I'm not opposed to that, but what I have actually already done on the car is I've installed, instead of using the brake light switch to activate my bump, I am using a brake pressure switch, or a brake pressure sensor that is, connected to the ECU as an analog input, and then using the internal output function in the max ECU, I'm able to basically say, activate the bump above a certain brake pressure. So I'm going to attempt to mess with that, basically as basically make it so that I have to have a little more brake pressure before it'll bump, so that maybe it doesn't rock as much. I'm hoping that will get my desired, output there, so that it, it just. So that it just bumps nice and even and doesn't jostle, because I think the problem was I was trying to hold my foot nice and smooth, but the car was jostling, so I was like accidentally, pressing the brake again and causing it to bump again. Whereas I think if I get a little more brake pressure into it, it'll bump nice and smooth and not rock. So I'm going to try that first, and the advantage with that is, let's say I'm on drag week and the transmission goes, and the only replacement I can get is something that doesn't have a trans brake. Well, now I can use that brake pressure sensor to activate my two-step, much like we do on a lot of our other cars, where we have a high pressure brake switch that will activate the two-step, and we're able to foot brake the car with a two-step, and I can use that same input as a kind of a fail-safe. If something goes wrong, I have another option. So I'm going to give that a shot first.
but maybe going to a steering wheel switch, that may be what I'm forced to do. But I do like your idea there, using a factory part that maybe is a little less annoying than stupid cords hanging from your steering wheel. So, yeah. Yep, Matt's planning for a big 6-cylinder showdown at the challenge. You're on, Matt. Okay, the race says, oh, nice, that's real trick, would have never thought of that. Yeah, we'll see if it works. It may be maybe filed into the bad ideas folder like the last solution, so. The Wraith asked, you guys going to test the stock damper myth on this engine? I'd love to. The problem is, for NHRA, you're required to have an SFI damper, and the BHJ is SFI approved, so it's like, okay, we need the SFI already, why not just install the improved damper while we're at it? And so at some point we'd really like to test actually this damper in particular, because this is an O2 damper, and the O2 dampers are a dual mass damper. And if you read the BHJ crankshaft study, harmonic damper study, they talk about how a dual mass damper would be ideal. Now, we have no idea what frequencies these two masses, an elastomer combinations, we have no idea what they're tuned for, what frequency. But it may be a speed secret. James Price says, hello from Hot Bottom, PA. Where's Hot Bottom?
I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah. Where's that? Thanks for tuning in, but it sounds like a fun place. I've never heard of it. Okay, Jord9308 says you can use a button with a cheap wireless relay equals no cord. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's a whole host of issues that could all of a sudden occur with a wireless switch. I assume the device would have to be battery powered at that point. What happens when the battery goes bad? Wireless communication isn't perfect. What happens when the wireless communication fails? I'm an engineer, so I'm trained to look at what could possibly go wrong, and I'd rather have a hardwired button or sensor or switch. If it's up to me, there's automotive. I've read a bunch of comments from people saying, "Oh yeah, my buddy did that and it worked great." But yeah, I'm not a big fan of a wireless solution, but yeah, they're a little bit harder to diagnose if something goes wrong. What if it just has a glitch in it? It's like, okay, I'm screwed. I'm not a fan of that solution.
Billy Bob in his square body keys the mic on a CD, and all of a sudden you've taken off.
Right. Yeah, or it bumps through the beams, and I'm like, ah! Yeah. Shopcat Industries says, well, hello there, first time on live here, so be gentle on me.
Yeah.
You're fine, it's,
Be gentle on us.
Yeah,
this is only our second time.
This is only our second time, so. Yeah, he says, cheers from Alberta, Canada.
Oh, welcome.
Thanks for tuning in. The race. Go ahead. Wow. The Wraith says on the Barra forums the other day, a guy posted a Barra making 812 through a C4 transmission with a G42 1200 turbo from Pulsar at 24 psi. That's still less than 824. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Was it a stock bottom end though?
Yeah, was it a stock bottom end? Yeah, George 9308 says I use a wireless relay for an overdrive actuator. Work well. More power to you. Yeah, the race said that yes, that was a stock bottom end.
Wow.
Barrel.
A new number one over there.
Yeah.
For their stuff.
Shopcat Industries says I have the same Milwaukee cordless ratchet. Was the game changer. Totally agree. I love that thing. It's one of my favorite tools. Ray says you guys have to check out the Pulsar turbos. I think they are VS Racing suppliers. This is all speculation, but they've had the G42 style turbos available. They've had the G42 style turbos available for almost a year before the VS has. Huh. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I'll have to check them out.
Did John say he was coming out?
Yeah, 2:45.
What time is it? What about the oil can? Any more questions? People are gonna find out how barbaristic we are soon.
Milton Banners. Where did you get the spring tool?
It's it's a Kent Moore J. It says the part number on it. J44228-1. I got it off of eBay, I think. Yeah, it's super useful tool. Matt Malfair says, Calvin, you gotta try the new high-speed M12 ratchet, twice the RPM, and the smaller head, like a non-fuel. Huh, I didn't know about that. That's, I bet that's a game changer.
They're all done.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the race. I'll have to check out the what was the supplier? Pulsar. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check out the Pulsar turbo. So yeah, I've heard of them before, but I just never, VS Racing's so popular. Alright. So next, once we got the valve springs done, we're going to find top dead center, and that is how we're going to time the engine.
Did you tell Matt we're probably not gonna put a set of cams in it to the challenge engine? We're not concerned about the,
You don't think we need them to
nah,
see them?
nah.
Oh, okay.
Any reaction?
I'm sure he's giggling.
Ray says they're really popular in Australia.
Yep.
Okay. Where's the Wraith from?
Yeah, where are you from, the Wraith? Florida. Okay, Florida. Nice.
Sunny Florida.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Swing by the challenge when, in October.
Okay, he's right out of Gainesville, so
Oh, no kidding.
most of the time in Gainesville. Okay.
Has he been to the challenge?
Yeah, have you been to the challenge?
And
Yeah, that's held in Gainesville every year.
grassroots.
Yeah, the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. That's the last one, right?
Yep, cool. No, I didn't make a career out of it. I am gonna wash my hands after this.
Oops.
Milton's from Hayburn, Idaho.
Welcome aboard, Idaho.
Idaho.
Or Hayburn.
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 It's Hayburn.
Okay.
She doesn't have her glasses on.
I have my contacts on. Idaho.
The Grassroots event is in October.
22nd, 23rd, I think.
Yep.
Oh, something's wrong. Yep. It's upside down.
Keep everything upside down?
Yep.
You just wanted to get it done too fast.
No, it's that I did it right.
Mm-hmm.
The reflection of the light
Yep.
makes it hard to tell whether it's recessed or.
Okay. Well, trying to help you.
Milton Banner asks, who's running the camera? It's my brother, Cameron.
Hey, cameraman.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Greetings from Ackworth, Georgia. Thanks for tuning in, Jordan. Alright.
Cheers, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Ow!
Alright. Shopcat Industries says a family that wrenches together sticks together, right, Mama?
That's it.
Matt Malfair says we are going to...
You know what happened last time she tried to leave? We all followed her. She figured it'd be better to just hang out here because she didn't like us following her around all the time. That was 12. So, 10, 10, 12.
That one's the worst one, 21. So, it'll be fine.
Couple turbo blasts, so to be happy.
Yeah, we'll see what. Matt Malfair says we are going full Florida man and bringing a YFZ 450 on a hitch receiver basket on the back of the Mustang for you guys to ride across the field. I don't know what that is. Is that like a motorbike or something? The Ray says, I wish someone made a cast intake for these. Yeah, me too. Racing Fred Dan says, hi from Sweden. Hello. We're actually descendants of Sweden, so yeah, we big fan of Sweden. Shopcat Industries says, oh, okay, he's responding to somebody else.
My grandfather was from the west coast of Sweden.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're going to find top dead center. So, got all our valve springs in. So now we need to find top dead center, and that will help us time the engine. So, I'm going to rotate this over, and I got this dial indicator here, and it will...
Scott and April are on.
Ah, Scott Kaufman.
Scott and April?
Yeah. Scott Kaufman.
Cool.
And people.
We miss you.
Yeah.
Every time we drive past your house, I'm like, huh.
Okay, so gotta make sure this is in the right spot that we can capture it, but essentially we're gonna rotate the engine over and find top dead center, and you do that by basically you're going to find the highest point of the piston, and that is top dead center on number 1. So you gotta make sure that you have the indicator high enough that you can capture it, or else it kind of doesn't work. So that is what we're doing right here. Okay. So. Yep, there it goes. Okay, come here. Look at the dial. Yeah, so you'll notice that as we go, as I rotate it, the dial goes up, and then it gets to a point, and then it goes back down. So we need to go right in the middle of where it stops there. So right there. So that is how you find top dead center. And then from there, you can take your dial indicator and put that away. Then from there, what you have to do with your camshafts is there is a flat in the back, and you need to make it so that the flats are level, and that is how you, that is where they'll be at top dead center, and you don't have to, drop the engine, take it out of the car. You honestly don't even need to look at the timing marks on the cam sprockets. On the one car, it's actually, you're supposed to time these engines. Normally, there's a link here that's a different color, and you're supposed to line that up with the little mark, the timing mark on the cam sprocket. And
you can actually line it up so that it's in between links, if that's just where it happens to be on the crankshaft. So this is a good way in case you drop your timing chain. This is how you reset it. So it's not the end of the world. You just gotta,
Just looks like it.
yeah.
Until you've done it and had to solve the problem.
Yep. Yep.
Alright, this one is tight. Do you want me to take it off?
Yeah.
Okay. What is that? 8mm?
Okay. Chris Martinez says he's from Western Massachusetts.
Hola, we're gonna have all 50 states before this day's over.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Texas yet, and I didn't hear Hawaii.
Jack says, I figured you guys were gonna take a break from the 4200 stuff after nearly sawing the block in half. Glad to see there's another engine getting ready to go into that car. Yep.
Oh, breaking the engine was somewhat intentional. The ultimate goal was to find the weak link so that we can adjust accordingly and take it to the next level. And that was actually very encouraging, not discouraging, because now we know for Calvin's 57, the weak link was clearly the connecting rods. So that engine for that car will get rods in it, and but we've got a lot more development to do on a few more engines. We recently purchased a few more of these things, and we're going to be stretching the legs on these things.
So before you install your camshafts, you got to take your lash adjusters out. And part of the kit that I sell is some replacement lash adjusters for the intake
Look
side.
at Mama, she wants to help.
So
Is
these,
this in oil first? Or?
You
No.
guys can do it.
these are the replacement lash adjusters. They're a little bit taller to take up the lash that the reduced base circle creates. So you just install them.
Just kidding.
Pretty simple.
It's not slipping.
And then the recommended installation method for the camshaft
Almost got it.
is you actually put all the followers in place and then you tighten the camshaft down evenly. That's how GM recommends to do it. Seems a little crude, but I guess it works.
Got it.
So, alright, so we're gonna put all of our cam followers in place. It hit the floor, it's okay.
Not eating it.
Yeah. So,
Oh, it's behind.
alright, so put all your cam followers in place. Then for the exhaust side, there's shims that you install underneath of the lash adjusters.
You answered my question. Jord 9308. Did you have to shim the valve train for regrind? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So are y'all to start making aftermarket for the Atlas line? Well, Calvin, you can answer that question.
What's
All
that
the stuff that
aftermarket?
you,
What?
all the aftermarket stuff you need for the Atlas.
Oh, what aftermarket parts we make?
Yeah.
Yeah, we at this point we make a cam installation kit which is what you're seeing us install at this moment in time. And we also make kits to install the 06 and later coils onto the ignition coils onto the earlier engines. And yeah, I 3D print those, and the 06 and later. Where's the name? The 06 and later coils have a little bit more energy, so they're good for guys that are starting to push a little bit more boost. So on the
Okay,
yeah, we
and
gotta,
knock that over. Let's do that then.
let's get that done first. Keep knocking them over too.
You gotta keep them in order, sweetheart.
Okay. Do we need to do anything to these cams or?
I'll have to look at it, but I'm trying to clean this real quick.
You're about to have one again.
Yes, honey, don't take it out of order.
I'm not. Here, put this one over here,
Yeah.
this one here, and then
Take this one.
we'll
so-
have a problem.
Have Calvin put these over on the table in order.
Which ones?
You see? Yeah, wasn't it the exhaust? The exhaust had the mark on it. This right here probably needs polished in that. That's fine.
These go here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you want to get this flat in the back. You want this to be level. So you gotta rotate it around until it's level. So we're gonna have to mess with that. So, okay. So, and then your cam caps, they have a little 1, and then they have an arrow that tells you where they go and in what orientation. So, in case you drop them 100 times, you know where to put them back.
Hey, it was only 4 times.
Yeah, I dropped it a few times too.
I was counting yours.
Okay. The Wraith. Oh, sorry. Matt Malfair says, how many engine stands do you own? Probably 10?
13, 14?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. Every time somebody moves or out of a garage or closes a business, we've had a couple given to us. We've only ever had to buy one. And everything else has been shared within the community.
Bernard B says, just installed mine today. Yep, thanks for buying one. I recognize your name. Shopcat Industries, it would be fun to see you apply your knowledge to a Chevette 1.6.
No, thank you.
LOL.
I am a huge Chevette fan. Love Chevettes. Drove probably 200,000 miles up to a bunch of them. But no, not enough engine there.
Jack says, I'd really like to see what a cam with even more duration than the regrinds could do on the 4200. The regrinds are great, but I just wonder how much power is left on the table given the duration at 50. We're right there with you, but you know, the custom cam is not cheap.
Well, you know, it's interesting though. We're at a place where we're making power and not breaking parts, and more duration, more RPM. Everybody we've talked to, they go through a lot of parts running these things at higher RPMs. So,
Yeah.
you know, at some point, you just gotta stop beating the horse and go get a different horse to pull the wagon.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you're going to be into a billet crankshaft just because a 4-inch stroke just isn't great for high RPM. So, you know, at some point you're going to be into a billet crank, and if you're going to buy a billet crank, why not put a billet crank into something that has a better block, or, you know, it's at some point the 2JZ or a Barra or something like that just makes more sense because, you know, why would you put a billet crank into a block that is going to probably fail at, you know, my guess would be 1,500 horsepower. I mean, who knows?
It'd be nice to have. We keep hearing about people making billet cranks for these things, and we'd love to de-stroke one of these things down to 3 liters and use it in land speed racing.
Yeah, that would be cool. But
not on our nickel.
Yeah, it's not going to be with my wallet. Okay, so we got to stick our timing chain tensioner holding wedge thing in again, because we need to make it so that the timing chain tensioner doesn't collapse. Just have to get it in there.
You know where you're at on here?
What's that? Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay, so
Not even.
just want to make sure you were aware. That's all.
Where are you at?
He's got to take the
Yeah,
tension
just
off
give me
the
a
chain
second.
so that he can turn the cam.
Got it. Okay. Alright, so now we can take this, pull this guy, which I'm going to grab. Pliers. Oh, so now we got to get the intake sprocket in the right spot. So the pin needs to be. Can somebody help me here?
Mhm.
You need-
Can you just hold this out.
Hold this
Just pull this out.
Okay.
Nope, not like that. Okay. Alright, so we need to get it so that this pin on the sprocket is straight up. Like that. Just like that, I think. And then we need to grab our camshaft.
We have company.
And it needs to go another tooth.
Other way.
Corvette.
Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Right there. Oh, too far.
Yeah, it's the problem is I gotta get the sprocket. Okay, let that go now. Okay, so
One more tooth retarded.
Should I pull it out again? Calvin?
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
There.
Yeah, the problem is I gotta get onto the
You're on.
There.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Alright, so look
Camera.
at the back
Camera.
camera. See how the flat's at?
When the crank's straight up and down, top dead center in the front, this is supposed to be straight across. So when this all gets tightened up, it'll be in time.
Okay, so now you just tighten everything down nice and even. That's how GM recommends you do it.
Did you ever find a torque value on that?
Yeah. It's 106 pound-inches.
I wonder if everybody wants to see a cool car. Hey everybody, you want to see a very cool car? You gotta take that out there and show them the car.
How are you doing?
Don't forget.
Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to get Cameron to go outside and show him your car.
What do you, Calvin?
No,
Cameron,
Cameron.
Cameron,
You've got the camera.
come on. He's coming out to see your car. Cameron, you're supposed to go outside.
Yeah, but there needs to be a person explaining it.
Okay.
Want to show
Not
us
just
Guitar real
some-
quick. Hi everybody, this is John and Jonathan, good
Hi.
friends of ours. They just stopped by. Seems like we were doing this last time.
Yeah. This one looks nicer.
Does it? I thought.
No,
I'll take your word for it.
Your timing gears look a lot prettier.
Oh, okay.
you're showing here.
I borrowed metal.
Thank you.
Alright.
We were wondering why the count went down.
Thanks. Is this a live
Actually
video?
went up.
You are live. You
You're
are
live.
We're
live.
on live to the internet. There's 35
Smiling
people
looks great.
watching us right now. So. Yep. Okay, they're just talking to each other in the comments.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, wonder what you guys could do with a GM LN2 2.2 push rod in the Cavaliers. I found out that the Honda J35 pistons are the same in every measurement. There are 500 horsepower 2.2 LN2s out there with turbos. Really? Wow. Yeah, I used to have a 2.2 in my Cavalier. One of those LN2s. Yep.
I'm gonna let you finish this up, and I'm gonna visit with our company real quick.
Okay.
These lines off. What?
Yeah, the race. I think he's talking about the Barra. They run a stock crankshaft to 2,000 horsepower.
Oh, you should be able to on this crankshaft.
Yeah. Well, the block is the block is the thing I'm worried about.
Block's not a problem with
At 2,000 horsepower.
that. I bet this will get close. I think the issue is rods and pistons. And head bolt size.
Yeah, all I know is 2JZs start to lose shape at 1,500. So
Japanese crap.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Ready to start the protection?
Alright.
Hey, Calvin,
What?
you have an audience.
Yep. Well, there's 29 others out there watching too. Yep.
Are you live on YouTube or Facebook?
YouTube.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, there's lots of people doing it. Yep.
This is our second time on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Okay.
Like a snack.
Oh,
So we're in the home stretch.
so do you have valve springs in on both sides already?
Yep. Yeah, we've already gone through all that.
How long have we been live?
3.5 hours.
No wonder you're down to 30 some people.
Mhm.
What'd you start with?
We got up to like 40 something. So, yep.
42. Maybe you had 42.
What was that?
You had 42 pieces out of 4,200.
Now, are these the stock cams or are these?
The regrinds.
They're the regrinds.
From the blown up end?
Yeah.
How many miles does this engine have?
175, I think.
At least.
That's what Dad said.
So you're going with another low mileage engine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the one in the Trailblazer that I bought had like 299, and it was still going strong, so, yeah. They're good motors.
Maybe I need to be the next one to start an Atlas build and do a 4200 rally car. Do it.
Do it.
Alright, one thing to read upside down, it's another thing when everything's away. Okay. That's cool, man. I'm 3.7 L5 cylinder, swapping my Cavi to rear wheel drive for Rocky Mountain Race Sweet 2023. Very cool. It's Dark Blaze 176.
Okay, do you want to address this, or you could go? I'm gonna get all of these.
Don't knock this over.
Okay. Alright, so now we gotta get all the shims in. For the exhaust side, we reused the lash adjusters. Probably not on there, huh? They're still oil. Fall out. There we go. Okay, so now we gotta get all our shims in. So, part of the kit that we sell comes with these little shims. Right here. And we need to make sure they get installed in the right spot. There's a little pocket for them to sit in. So, just push them down in the hole. And I use a magnet, the magnet screwdriver, just like we do with the keepers. And you just
That thing looking all sparkly.
push it down and then let it go. And then we'll put the factory lash adjuster, install that right over top of it. Some of you may ask, why didn't we just use shims all the way around? And the problem with that is the oil ring right here. If you push this thing up too high, it becomes exposed and you don't get an oil seal there. And then your lash adjusters collapse and you don't get all the lift out of your camshaft. And nobody wants that. And I found that out because I did it on mine.
Yes, we know.
Check out what Dad's doing, Cameron. Dad's putting a custom grind on the camshaft. Okay, we're pretty far behind. What's that? I have no idea. Okay.
Did you take note as to whether these were on here before?
They were not.
Okay.
It was like beautiful before. So I think they go over them or something because they always come back and they're like they look brand new. What year block is the best? Supposedly the 06 and later blocks have a slightly stronger sleeve, but we've used basically all the odd year or the even years. We've used 08 or 08, 06, 04, and 02, and we've never had any issues with cracking sleeves or anything dumb like that. So I would say just get one and have fun.
Let us know if you heard it.
And this is an 02 engine, so they're supposedly worse, but we're gonna just send it and.
Dude, it's in the cart.
I dropped one accidentally in the engine somewhere.
There's one on the floor.
There it is. Good job, Mama.
You're welcome.
Alright. Those are it. So now we can put the factory lash adjusters right back in.
Just a little ugly from the outside.
Okay. Monkey Fab Garage says he's knee deep in Volvo wire.
In what wire?
Volvo wire. He's doing a LS swap Volvo. Sounds like fun. The Wraith, one of my friends, is a big 2JZ guy. He's had 3 setups over 1,000, but the downfall for them is the displacement. They're a massive pain to get on the trans brake. Yeah, I can imagine. Schneider is awesome. They've done a bunch of jet ski cams for me and some buddies in Florida. The big thing is jet ski racing. I have a friend with a turbo ski that goes 112 miles per hour on E85 and a Haltech 2500. That sounds,
That's beyond crazy.
yeah, that's a little, yeah, I'm good. I don't need that.
That's true Florida man.
Yeah, that is true Florida man type stuff. Yeah, that's like,
Was that Matt?
no, that's the Wraith. Okay, Jack says, I don't know if I missed it in the video, but what are the plans for the 57? My dad has one with a 283 and a 700R4, very good cruiser. Yeah, the plans are Vortec 4200 swap and a whole bunch of roll cage, and we're going to try and, I'd like it to go a 7 someday, so we'll certainly work up to that. We're not going to try and do that on the first pass, but...
What?
Yep, so that is the goal with that car.
Well, if it's a Calvin 4200, it should run a 9-second first pass.
His wagon has failed to not run a 9.
It
There
has
you go.
never not run enough.
It has
Well,
never
the
not
Futura-
run a 9.
The Futura ran a 9 on the first day, so.
Well, I mean, like it's never.
It's never not
It's
run
never
a
not
9.
run a 9. Always.
Like
Never. No pressure.
Yep.
We're gonna paint the 57 white in the process?
I want to paint it blue and white two-tone.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to do, well, I want to do kind of bluish green. I don't see that on like 57s very often.
Through that traditional teal color in it.
Right. I'd
With
love,
white, that would be
yeah.
pretty cool.
yeah, I'd love that, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, yeah.
We need to make sure this gets thrown away, cause this engine had debris going through it.
Okay, so, okay. Hey, somebody just gave us a donation for $10. They say, have a great day, guys. I need to get to work. Thanks for
Thank
tuning in, and thanks for the donation.
Dark Blaze, thank you.
Yep. The race says his jet ski goes 90 miles per hour and it's super sketchy. I bet. Yeah, you can keep that. I'm good. I don't need that in my life.
No.
I am good. I'm not a big fan of water anyway, so just not my thing. Okay. Alright. We can't knock over, isn't it? Alright, we good to go?
You're good to go.
So Dad just did a custom grind on the camshaft, so should make about 30 more horsepower.
I need
No. Yep.
How many of your dad's tools have you lost over the years? A big shout out to Dad. Seems very cool in the shop and work with. Well, that total could be counted up weekly.
They've never been lost, they've only been misplaced.
Yeah,
We're
or
buildings, come on.
I've
broken tools are
yeah,
coming.
broken, there's a few. But
Well,
at
you
least-
already got it.
well, it just
Oh.
happened to be in the right spot.
Wow.
So those cams just sit in aluminum saddles on the head?
Yep.
That are milled?
Yep.
And there's
No
just
bearing.
no bearing, but
bearing.
there's that much of an oil bath that they just sit in there.
Okay, the
Wow.
Wraith had a, oh man, the questions are coming in now. How many of your dad's tools? Okay, so we read that one. Got it.
You take that.
Let's see, yeah, the hull's heavy though. Oh, they're talking about
The
the
boat
jet
or
ski.
the jet ski.
Okay. Have a good time at work. Okay, that's where the turbo comes in. Okay, you're off by.
Yeah, we gotta cinch it down and then I can get the sprocket on.
Gotcha.
Alright.
Excuse me. This is squared up. I'll be able to visit.
Arrows are forward.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that one's got it. The casting's backwards from the other.
Yeah, they do that. Though sometimes this will point this way, sometimes it'll point that way.
Didn't notice that.
It's totally random. Yeah, you can't go off of that. Somebody couldn't read these on theirs and they didn't keep track of where they came off of. And I was like, oh, does the castings all go the same? And I had to go and check for them. No, they do not.
Comes in, okay. Jord 9308, are the lash adjusters hydraulic? Yes.
Yep, they say you should go to a solid lash adjuster. The Ecotechs have the same lash adjuster, and they say around 8,000 RPM you should start looking at a solid lash adjuster. But we have only taken these to 75, so far they seem to be working fine. But there may be some power there. We may be squishing the lash adjuster a little bit and not getting the full lift and duration out of our cams, but it's hard to say.
We'll be into a solid at some point. really like the Max CCU review. I went to school for electrical engineering, and I think the comparison to a microcontroller is very apt.
Yep. I
Hey,
went to
you got
school.
something in common with Jack.
Yeah, I went to school for electrical engineering too. So
Bunch of Sparkies.
yeah, Sparkies. That's what they call me at work. Sparky.
You're not. Okay.
Speed bridge. Make this so much easier.
We've got two of them.
Yeah, I have no idea where they are. Yeah. Double speed. Okay. Alright.
Everybody fell asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting to be pretty long.
You take it all the way down before you put the sprocket on.
With this arrangement, I have to. Normally, I wouldn't, but well, you may have to regardless. I mean, yeah, it's not going to line up until you get it tightened down. So, I mean, you can.
Didn't know how far the camera.
Yeah. Here, where's the adjustable? Let's grab this. Use one of these. At least get that in the right spot. And hold this.
This is all pretty high down here. We just got another comment on it.
John Frostbite says, "Is this engine going to see water methanol?" No, we have water to air intercooler. I don't think that's required. The water methanol, we're not really a big fan of, anyways. The water kills power, but
we like methanol.
yeah, I mean, the water is necessary if you have, like, you can only get pump gas and you're trying to make it safe. But if you can get the water out of there, it will make more power. But a lot of times it won't do that safely, so it's a double-edged sword.
Now it's starting to push them over.
Now this should be able to.
No, it's not tight back here, right?
Yeah, it's getting there, but it's tight enough to put the sprocket on. But I think this tool's designed for the later engine, so that may be why things don't line up quite right.
use the, what is that,
VR1 2050.
150.
Yeah, we run 20W50. It's what we've had success with. A lot of people say that's way too heavy. I don't agree. I mean, you can look at the bearings from the last engine; they look fantastic. So
The engine kicked the rod out?
yeah, the bearings look new.
It was
It's
unbelievable. It was unbelievable how beautiful that engine was.
So it was simply an ultimate failure of the rod.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep, you're in.
Can you rotate the cam
Towards you or away?
towards me? More. 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 More.
You're out of sync back here.
Okay.
Let's come back my way.
Alright. Do it more. Let's just get it on there and look at it.
That's way out of whack.
Okay. So we gotta go 1, 2,
Yes.
this way. Okay. Rotate it.
I'm getting there. I'm just going slow. Ready? I'm coming in. There it goes.
You gotta rotate it my way. Right. There it goes. Okay, you got it. That is the most stressful part. Out of the way.
Still a tiny bit, but it doesn't look like a whole tooth.
Yeah, that's good. I think we're good.
Yeah, but if this is retarded,
Yeah, I mean, once we get this timing chain tensioned, it may make up the difference.
Jack, have you considered a dry sump setup, or is that totally overkill for what you're trying to do? I'm reading upside down. I can actually read pretty quickly, but we're going to do a dry sump for the land speed effort. That is coming, but it is not. I doubt you'll see that this year. I know you won't see that this year. By the time we get through 6 week next year, we will start looking at what we're going to do for the land speed effort.
Click. Your wood torque wrench? Just twist it until your elbow clicks. That's what Wastecript Garage always says.
Ooh, that hurt.
Alright, that was the VBT. So, move to the other cam.
Should I bring it back?
Just move the
Yeah,
flash.
should I bring it back?
You don't have to. Ready? Click.
Boy, that bit.
Alright, so we need to get that's the VBT.
Yep.
Now, once I rotate this back. Yeah, they look good. Okay, I'm gonna get all these torqued down and then we can roll it over a couple times.
Okay. Good question about driving. Yep. Any tricks or...
There you go.
Well, he was reading it before, so give me a break. Any trick to aligning the VVT pulley? Well, it should spring back out, but the two alignments are on the camshaft here. As you saw earlier, Calvin had brought it up to top dead center with the dial indicator. when the engine's at top dead center, then these two cams, these two marks, there's actually a tool that can be put on here to hold these two in alignment. This is spring loaded, and it's going to bring itself back to that position. What happened to click?
Click.
Alright. You're up to date on questions.
Okay. We're gonna end this off once I get these done and then roll it over a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Our crew of 26 that has to take a pee break, it's gonna do it at the same time we do, huh?
Yeah. Looks like my torque wrench is calibrated pretty good. I'm not having to move these at all. Or just a tiny bit.
I was gonna say, that's over torque.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm moving it like a fraction of an inch. And
If you're not moving it, it's
I moved every single one. Just a doot. So, click. Alright. Now we can take this out because this is always the best moment. And then we can roll this thing over. And if you feel any hard spots, you did something wrong. Feels good. And nothing hits.
and you've released the
That's what that wedge is. And then this back to.
you want to describe how the oil brings brings it all into tension.
I already did. I did that earlier. Okay. Alright. So now we've fixed our. Yeah, once the oil pressure gets in there, it'll tension this guy up. But we've essentially fixed the engine, you know, that we've dropped the timing chain on. So I hope you guys find that method useful. I think we're going to end this live stream off here. I'm going to take this live stream and edit it down for the people that don't want to watch the whole thing. But thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Next week, 10:30.
Yeah, next week we're going to try and drop this into the chassis. And we're going to do another live stream at 10 a.m. on Sunday. So make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Goop. See you guys.